Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, Combined Game Playthrough, number 2. This is going to be the September-October turn, 1939. We have war in Europe now. Germany is at war with both the Commonwealth and France, and there's obviously the war in Asia between Japan and China. So there are 5 major powers at war right now. But before we get started, what I want to do is I want to take a look at the U.S. entry and the rules that I'm using, how it's calculated, and so forth. So let's go over here and take a look at the DoDIII rulebook. These are the rules. I'm using section 11 of the U.S. entry rules right here. It's all this and that. The gray box I'm not using. And basically I use all these rules right up to there. There are optional rules in this rule book as well. Some of the optional rules I use, but I don't use like hidden play, obviously. Leaving your ideology, I don't use that one. Totally wild, oil war, any of these basically. I don't really use any of those. Trans-Siberian Railway. I don't even use the U.S. entry rules, the 15.10 or the 15.11, which is the next page right here. Okay, and the reason why I don't do that is that those particular U.S. entry rules, they have they basically require you to start a chit pool for every major power. So each major power has to have a U.S. entry chit pool that generates chits depending on the major power's actions. It's more like the standard World in Flames game with the entry chits for the U.S. But the difference is that instead of just having entry chit pools for Japan and Germany and Italy, you have an entry chit pool for all the major powers. So you'd have an entry chit pool for the Commonwealth, an entry chit pool for Germany, an entry chit pool for the Soviet Union, for so forth and so on with all the major powers. It just seems to me that that's really it's way too convoluted to figure out what's going on where and how, and it's just too much. So how I calculate U.S. entry, according to the U.S. entry rules 11.0, is I basically use this little cheat sheet here, and I'll show you. It's this thing right here, and you can see that there are columns for each of the major powers: Germany, Italy, Japan, Commonwealth, France, Soviet Union, Russia, China, U.S., Vichy France, and Free France. Okay. Now, each major power, according to its actions, is allocated so many U.S. entry points. So, for example, Germany, the German column, the first entry is a +4. That's occupy the Rhineland. Okay. Italy's first entry of 8, I believe, was her first gear up. Japan's first entry of 11, I think that was her first gear up. So forth and so on, all through the various numbers that are written down here. Some of them are negative, for example. So the negative numbers are basically when Japan or Germany or Italy is at war with a democratic power, you have to roll on a war with Democrats table. And with the -1, it's easy for Japan to get minuses to the U.S. entry for the first couple of years. So there's a formula that I use. See, it says fascism. So for an example, in Germany's case, you take Germany's U.S. entry total plus half of all the other fascists, so it would be plus half of the Italians and the Japanese. Then you subtract the U.S. total, then you subtract half of all other major powers. And what that looks like, it looks like something like this. So the Germans have 86, Japan has 51, and Italy has 14. That's 65, comes out to be 32.5 when you divide by 2. Yeah, combine those two totals, and you subtract 23. Then you subtract half the remaining totals of other major powers, so you got 45, 36, 50, and 7 for the Commonwealth, France, the U.S. No, the Commonwealth, France. Did I make a mistake there? No. So that's the Commonwealth, France, Russia, and China. Right, correct. Commonwealth, France, Russia, and China. So you add up those totals, divide by 2, you get 69. So you do the math here, and you come up with a U.S. entry of 26.5 for Germany. You do the same thing for the Italians. You come up with a U.S. entry of 16. Do the same thing for Japan. And surprisingly, I think you come up with I didn't total it, but I think it's 9. Yeah, I think it's about 9. Let's see, 101 minus 92. Yeah, it's 9. So their U.S. entry is 9. And Japan's total can actually go down. Actually, all these major powers, their totals can actually go down depending on what other major powers are doing. Like a major power that's fascist major power that's kind of just doing nothing, or if the fascist major powers are kind of quiet for a while, and you have a lot of activity, diplomatic and gearing up from the other major powers, their U.S. entries could actually decrease. And I believe the last time I calculated U.S. entry for Japan, it was 11, something like that. Okay, so what does that all mean? What that all means is that if you look at the booklet for U.S. Political options, one of the first U.S. political options that they can actually do something to affect the war is U.S. entry 9, East Coast escorts. So when they meet the prerequisite, which is Germany plus Italy's U.S. entry is greater than 55, in this case, for this turn, U.S. entry for Germany and Japan is 42.5. Or Germany's U.S. entry is greater than 45. Germany's U.S. entry is 26.5. The CW is at war with Germany. Check that one. And the U.S. has a treaty with the CW. They both have a level 1 treaty now, so check that one. So the U.S. could pick this political option and implement it. And what does that do? It says, you look at the effects, you go, U.S. entry options, and this is in the WiFCE booklet, number 11, number 16, and number 20. East Coast escorts, gifted destroyers, and land-based air escorts. The U.S. can now put all those into effect. So that's basically how U.S. entry is working right now. It seems to work pretty good. It's not as hidden or secretive as the entry chit thing is, but I'm doing a solo game playthrough, so it doesn't really matter too much. The face-to-face game I did with this system seemed to work pretty good. Eventually all the U.S. entry options in the World in Flames booklet can be implemented. I think it's called Total War. Undeclared War. Well, I think it's that one. Undeclared War. The U.S. may now play any U.S. entry options during the U.S. entry phase of any later turn. So yes. So once I get to Undeclared War, which is going to probably take a while because Germany plus Italy's U.S. entry has to be better than 150. Okay, once the U.S. reaches that point, then they can use any of the multiple U.S. entries they have in the World in Flames booklet. Yeah, I just wanted to take a few minutes to go over that to show how the U.S. entry is working at this particular point. And as you can see, it's really, really early in the war, and the U.S. hasn't gotten to the point where they can actually do anything yet. But it is considerably ramping up in Europe. I think the U.S. entry for Italy was negative last time. And I believe it for Germany, it was in the teens. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's at. All right, so let's get started on the turn. Let's go check out starting money for the major powers and see what we got. Starting money for the major powers looks something like this. We have Germany at -1, Japan at -5, Italy at 0, USSR at -1, the Commonwealth at -7, France at -10, USA at -1, and China at 0. There's a lot of minuses out there because of all the declarations of war and minor joins in. All those have to be paid for at the time, even though the political option can be played later. But all the effects and the monetary costs of the options have to be paid for at the time. So that's why we're seeing a lot of minuses. Now, I've already looked at which major powers want to try to get political options this turn. And it's looking something like this. So we have the Commonwealth bidding 1. We have Germany bidding 2. We have the USSR bidding 1. And we have France bidding 1. So let's take a look at the initiative position track and see how this pans out. Now you will notice that the German political effectiveness is now up to a 7. And the reason why that has happened is that when the Commonwealth declared war on Germany, one of the effects is the German political effectiveness increases by 1. The French also declared war on Germany. Again, the political effectiveness increased by 1. So Germany went from a 5 to a 7. Okay. So let's see how this turns out on the track. We have the Commonwealth bidding 1. They get a +4. That's going to give them 5. That'll put them in first. The Germans bid 2. They get a +3. They're going for 2 political options. So that's going to be 5 divided by 2, or 2.5. That's going to be enough to put them in second. The Soviets bid 1. They get a +1 for their 6th place position. That's going to be a 2. That's going to be enough to give them the 3rd place position. And the French bid 1. They get a 0 for their 8th place position. Their bid of 1 is going to be divided by 2 because they want to try for 2 political options. 0.5 is enough for 4th. Now, the last card will go on the Commonwealth, and the last card will go on France. For the non-bidding major powers, we have Italy at +3. That'll put them in 5th. Japan and the US are both tied at +2. But we can see that Japan's political effectiveness is a 4. The US's political effectiveness is a 2. So Japan breaks that tie. The US drops to 7th. And China with a +1 will drop to 8th. Now, the other thing that you can note here is that the minus markers for the Soviet Union and the United States are gone because the London Naval Treaty is now suspended because 4 or more major powers are at war. We have Germany, France, the Commonwealth, China, and Russia all at war. That's 5 major powers. And the other thing that we have to look at is the political track over here. I can't really see it from this point, so let's go over here. The political die roll to end the political phase. The die roll, sorry, to end the political phase. Is roll 1 or less to end the turn. Modifiers -1 for each previous option played. +1 if 4 to 7 major powers are at war. So we have 4 to 7 major powers at war, so we're going to be adding a +1 to the die, each die roll. What that means is that effectively there will be 2 political options played before the political phase can actually end. So, that being said, let's see, we got the Commonwealth up. Let's see what they want to do. Okay, the Commonwealth is going to choose Commonwealth option 4, it's war. They're playing this political option because they owe it from last turn for declaring war on Germany. All the minor effects have already been put out. The money has already been paid, and the U.S. entry has already been allocated. And since a major power is declaring war, don't get to activate a minor. That's it for the Commonwealth's turn. We'll roll the die to see if they end the political phase, which they can't. 3 plus 1 is 4. There's no previous political options played. So their turn is basically done. And we will move on to Germany. Okay, Germany is going to play IPO 5, and they can do this for multiple minor countries. So IPO 5 minor joins in. This is going to be for aligning Sweden and Finland. Germany's already paid the money. The U.S. entry and minor effects have already all been put out. So there's nothing left for Germany to do except to activate a minor, because when minor joins in, you actually get to activate a minor. So I think the minor that Germany wants to activate is, we're going to go way up here in the north, and we're going to activate Norway. The Germans don't actually have a marker there, but it's a minor they can control, so they can activate it. So we'll come over here. My starting money thing. All right. Let's adjust this a little bit. All right. Much better. I've already had it fall over on me once. All right, so we have a French -2, we have a Commonwealth of -4, and we have a Soviet -2. Not sure that this is going to really make much of a difference. So the French will drive it either here or here. I think we'll activate the French first, and we'll move the Norway marker here. Then we'll activate the Commonwealth. That's going to go, there's 4 points, 2 points per hex, so I'll move it to here. Then I think we'll activate the Soviet, and that's going to push Norway up against the fascist ideology. Germany is kind of happy to get Norway there, considering the fact that there were no political points or no political influence in Norway in favor of Germany, and she still managed to get the marker up against the fascist ideology. We'll see what will happen at this point, whether or not she can actually get Norway into her ideology or not. Okay, let's go back over here. We're going to have Germany roll a die to see if she ends the political phase. Now there has been one political option played. So that's a -1, previously played. That's a -1, and there's a +1 to the die. So that comes out to be no modifier. So on a 1, the political phase will end. Oh, 8, nope. Meant to get that over there a little bit better, but sometimes the die hits the board and it just dies. Okay, so the political phase will continue. Germany had bid for 2 political options, so let's see what they want for their second political option. I'm pretty sure what they're going to do is... Okay, it's actually not even... I didn't have the right page. Okay, give me a minute. Here we go. Here we are. Germany is going to... Surprise, surprise... Support Romanian land claim. Support Romania land claims. Okay. Germany only played this option if G13 has never been played, and Germany's initiative is lower to any major power allied to Romania, Bulgaria, or Hungary. Sorry. Well, Hungary has an alliance with Italy, and Italy is in spot 5, Germany is in 2, so that basically takes care of that. So I got to pay 7 money. What this does, if Romania, we'll see the effects. If Romania allows a Soviet land claim, which they did last turn. The Soviets took Bessarabia. The Germany must play G13 or 14 before she may play IPO5 on Romania, Hungary, or Bulgaria. Okay, Germany, blah, blah, blah. Remove all German markers in Hungary and Bulgarian resource boxes. There aren't any. Remove all non-German markers in Romanian boxes. There aren't any. Germany already has all of Romania's resources. Okay, while Romania is aligned by Germany, Romania's units are no longer restricted in their movement. And what that means is that, unlike other minor allies, where only half the units may leave the minor ally, the minor country, in this case, Romania, all the units may leave. All right, so I'm going to record the U.S. entry, which is a +3, and put the minor allied effects out, and then it'll come back, and Germany will activate a minor. All right, we're back. Germany, get rid of these loose counters. I always keep a couple oil counters just sitting around different places to make change. And plus, when they get spent, I just put them on the edge of the board for now. But anyways, okay, I think Germany is going to activate Portugal. And it might be kind of strange to see Germany activate Portugal, but I think if we do it right, we can keep Portugal outside of the Democrat ideology, which is what we want to do. If we let the Democrats activate Portugal, they probably could get Portugal inside the Democrat ideology. So let's go over here. See where Portugal is. It's right here. Grab the markers. And this minor country actually has 7 major power markers in it. We have a U.S. -1. Let's put them up here. Okay, -1. A French +2. A Japanese -2. A German +1. We'll put that on the end. A Chinese +1 of all things. A Italian +3, and a Commonwealth +3. Okay, so the plus or minus one's not going to do anything, so we're just going to activate them each in turn, and they will be just wasted. Now, I think what we're going to do is activate the Italian. See, if the Democrats were doing this, they would activate the French, it would move it here. They would activate the Japanese, and it would move it here, okay, because Portugal only has an alliance with the Commonwealth, so it would be here. Then they would activate the Commonwealth one, and it costs 3 points to move into the ideology, put it here. Then they would activate the Italian one, and it takes 3 points plus 1 to move away from the major power that's allied to the minor within the major power's ideology. It would actually take 4. So I think, as the Germans, we're going to activate the Italian first, and it will take 3 points to get it here. 1 for the hex, 2 for the hex, and then 1 because Portugal has a alliance and it's moving away from the Commonwealth. So we'll go there. Then we will do the Commonwealth one, and it will cost 2 points for the hex. It moves it here. Then we will do the Japanese one. Costs 2 points for the hex. It moves it here. Then we will do the French, and it costs 2 points for the hex, and it moves it here. So even though Portugal is much closer to the Commonwealth, it's still outside the Democrat ideology, which is a goal of the fascists. Okay, let me grab a die, and we will roll to see if Germany ends the political phase. Now, there's been 2 previous political options played, so that's a -2. And we have a +1 to the die because of the major powers at war. So this is going to be a -1 to the die. 7 - 1 is 6. That does not end the political phase. We will move down to the Soviets. Now, I don't even need to go over there and grab the booklet. This is going to be the Soviets MP4, which is what they use to, for the border disputes. Getting the Bessarabia, Eastern Poland, and Finnish border hexes. So I don't need to go grab the booklet because they already paid for it. The minor effects have already been allocated and they don't get to activate a minor. So the only thing the Soviets will do is roll a die to see if they end the political phase. Now there's been 3 political options played previous to this. So 3 minus 3 is 0, plus 1 is 1. The political phase ends. Okay, so the French will get bonus bid points equal to their political effectiveness, which is a 4. So they will get 4 bonus bid points for next turn. But they also still owe a DoW and a line of minor. So they still owe those 2. Okay, let me break here for a second and get ready for, I believe, initiative and weather. Okay, well, we're at initiative. This is a pretty important role. The Germans would like initiative. The French pretty much feel like they have to have initiative. So let's see what we get. Okay, the fascists got an 8, the Democrats got a 10, and the communists got a 5. Now, the Democrats have a -1, that gives them a 9. The fascists have a +1, that gives them a 9. And the communists have a 5, and they have a +2, that gives them a 7. Okay, so we have a Democrat-fascist tie. I'm going to go check, make sure I know how to break these ties accurately. I have an idea, but I just want to make sure, so I'll check the rules. I'll be back in a second. Okay, the rule is the ideology that went first last turn loses all ties. So in this case, the fascists went first last turn, so they will lose the tie. So if that's the case, the fascists will choose to go last. So they will go last. And the Democrats definitely want to go first. So that puts the Soviets in the middle. And the fascists are okay with that. So now we roll weather. Oh, that's cool. Maybe should be some good action this turn. So the weather die roll was a 1. And if we look at the weather chart, we will see that 1, September, October is fair weather everywhere. So the impulse marker moves up 1. There's no modifier to the die roll. The one thing I will say about weather in September, October is it can get nasty fast. So even though this turn is kind of fair weather, that really doesn't mean too much because the next set of impulses could be just absolutely the worst possible weather. Okay, so fair weather everywhere. Let's go take a look at reinforcements. This is the September-October turn. Move up the turn marker. The French are getting several units. They're getting an artillery unit. That's going to go on map. They are getting a bomber. I think they will probably expend the pilot and put that on map. They are getting a Moroccan infantry corps. That has to go in Morocco. The Germans are getting a Finnish ski unit, a Finnish motorized division, and a Finnish fighter. Those all go on map. Let's see what else we have. We have a Japanese transport for the map. We have 2 Commonwealth pilots. We have a combat air group for the Italians. I will go in the reserve pool for now. Take a look at it later. Maybe it's worth doing something. We'll have to see. 2 Commonwealth pilots. It's 1, 2. We have a Commonwealth convoy point. We have a Commonwealth CAG. That, I think, is probably going to go in the reserve pool for now. I'll have to figure that out. What else we got? Oh, we got a Japanese combat air group. That's going to go on a carrier. And they will expend the pilot. We have a Soviet mechanized armored army, a very good unit, a Soviet tanker point, a German battle cruiser, a heavy cruiser, Woodsell. We have a Commonwealth carrier going into the construction pool. Now the London Naval Treaty is suspended at this point, so I don't need to keep track of points anymore. And we have a U.S. battleship, the Wyoming, an old battleship, but that is going into the U.S. fleet. And I think we're going to put that in the Atlantic fleet. Okay, I will get these guys on the map, and I'll come back with the first impulse. Okay, we're over in China, and we'll go straight to land movement. The Chinese don't have anything else they want to do. This is fair weather everywhere, so the Chinese are going to move this militia unit to here. And I think they're going to move the Chongqing militia into this hex. And I do believe that is probably it for the Chinese. Okay, now we're going to head over to Europe. Okay, the Commonwealth will be choosing a naval, which will cost, for the Commonwealth, it will cost 1.2 oil. She will pay that, and she wants to get her fleets out. So the home fleet will sail out to here. He has some transports she wants to get moving to. This transport's going to sail out to here. 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure. Do I want to drag both of them in? Yeah, I know that one's going someplace else. So that's it for this turn. And they're going to embark this unit. This transport is going to embark this unit and go 1. Okay, so a range of 3, a range of 4 on this transport. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to go all the way down into the Eastern Med. Yeah, that's right. The British are kind of looking at this like, you know what? We got to keep our presence in Egypt. The French are definitely doing a land, and they're actually thinking about doing some ground strikes. And the reason why they're thinking that is that if they could slow the roll of the Germans a little bit here, they might have a chance of lasting the winter. So, that being said, I haven't tried this before with the French, so we're going to see what happens. So we're going to go, we got this bomber here. I think this hex is probably the best hex to, yeah, that's the best hex to probably, there's 3 units there, so we'll use that for a bomber. We'll use this for a bomber. And we'll use this for a bomber. So we got 3 bombers going in. And we'll send 1 escort. I gotta look up what the French air missions are for a land action. Okay, so they get 2 air missions for a land action. So we're going to send this twin-engine fighter as acting as a tactical bomber, and the, whatever that is, BE, BRE 6191. Okay, and they're out of range of this fighter right here. 2, 3, 4. Because you can't send escorts. You know what? Maybe that's not a good idea. I got 2 fighters to escort. I'm going to get mauled. Yeah, no, actually, this is going to be the bomber, and we're going to send the escort as that one. So that's the 2 air missions. Now Germany gets a chance to intercept. I think they're going to intercept with everything they got. This piece of junk, this one, this one, this one. I think that's it. Unless I got another one buried somewhere. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, and the French will counter-intercept with this guy, and this guy, and this guy. So there we go. So we're going to have an air battle. We'll set this up and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, we have a 7.4 on the German side, and we have a 5 on the French side. So it's pretty... It can be pretty interesting. So the Germans have a +2. They're the intercepting player, so they roll first. And they rolled a 13, which is not really good. 13. Defender abort. Defender aborts own front fighter or front bomber. So obviously the French want to try to get their bomber through, so they're going to abort their front fighter. Now the French roll on the -2 column. They roll a 5. That's actually pretty good. On the -2, a 5 is attacker abort. Show you that one right there. On the -2 column is attacker abort. That is the attacker abort's own front fighter or front bomber. And or the attacker aborts the defender's front fighter or front bomber. There's only fighters for the Germans, so the German fighter is aborted. You'll have to go land somewheres. Probably right there. Okay, so now we got to recalculate. So we have 4.6 versus 4 versus 5. So 4.6 versus 5 is going to be on the 0 column. On the 0 column. So that was actually a pretty good battle for the French, believe it or not. And that's 5, and that's 4.6, so it's a 0.4 difference. It rounds to 0. So the Germans roll. That's a 17. That's a pretty good roll. On the 17 is defender kill. Defender, player not rolling, destroys own front fighter or front bomber. So the French have to destroy their own front fighter or front bomber. Well, the whole idea is to get the bomber through. We haven't rolled yet. We'll take out our fighter. Alright, so on the 0 column, let's see what the French get. They're still on the 0, and they rolled a 7, so that's not bad. 7. Defender aborts. Defender aborts own front fighter or front bomber. So now the Germans have to abort a front fighter or front bomber. They're going to abort all they have is fighters, so they can abort. So they'll abort their front fighter. Well, the French, they're at 3.3. The Germans are at 4.6. It's going to be +1, -1. The French want to keep going. The French want to keep going. Remember, the whole idea is to get your bomber through. All right, +1. Okay, 10. That's a pretty bad roll. 10. Defender clears through. Front bomber. So the bomber does get through. And he will do his bombing attack. And the French still get to roll. That's a 9. That's not that great. They're not going to do anything to the Germans. On the -1, attacker clears through. So the bomber would have got through either way. And so the rest of the fighters will abort. I will land them in a second. We got the bomber through. We have in the hex and artillery. This is for 2s. And artillery, a 4-4 and a 6-3. So we're going to go red top, green middle, and white bottom. Red is the top, green is the middle. Okay, and I went off the, but you can see green mist, red mist, white mist. So everything missed. But I guess, you know, from the French perspective, if they'd gotten one of them, it would have actually helped them out a lot in the long run. So I got to land these planes, and then we're going to do the land impulse for the French. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I've done the land impulse for the French. All their land movement. I'll show you what I did. The 3-3s that were here came up and filtered into the line. The 4-3 that was up here came down here. I moved Predelat out of the line. Move Georges down from here to here. The artillery came out of this hex, went there, and the anti-tank unit went up to the woods hex. And that was about it. The defenses against Italy are completely stripped right now. Not much the French can do about that, because they have to try to hold the Germans off best they can. So that was the end of the Democrat impulse. The Communist impulse, not much happened. We will move on to the Fascist impulse. I will take a look at what they're going to do. I don't think the Fascists have any ground strikes. Maybe they do. Yep, they are gonna do. They're gonna do a land impulse, so we'll spend the oil. And we got some ground strikes. 1, 2, 3. These are going to be at half rate, unfortunately. But we're going to throw them in. 2, 3. I think I'm allowed 4 air missions. There are no fighters that can intercept. The closest fighter is the Commonwealth here. Range of 2 to intercept. He can't quite get there. So that is that. So let's see what we get here. We got 3 units there. We're going to have 4 dice, a 2 and 3 1s. A 2 and 3 1s, because it's a forest hex. The tactical factors of the aircraft are halved. So 2 and 3 1s. Need another die. Alright, so we'll go top to bottom. The top unit is the anti-tank unit. Then we have a 3-3, and the bottom unit is the 5-3. Okay, I have 4 dice. So the red die is going to be the 2. The other 3 dice are 1s. Nothing for the top unit. The next unit down. Nothing for the next unit. And finally, the bottom unit. Okay, I got a 1 and a 2. So the bottom unit is flipped over. That's the 5-3. And that's it. That is it. Now I'm going to do the land movement for the Germans, and I'll come back with any potential attacks they may or may not have. Also, don't think the Japanese are doing anything this turn except moving a few units around. So I'll also do that. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I did the land movement for the Germans. They have 1 attack. It's going to be right here. It's currently 48 to 12. It's 12 because the pink circled 2 is doubled to a 4. However, the French do have ground support, which they will throw in, and that's going to make it 48 to 14, which is 3 to 1. The Germans don't have anything they can do to counter that. All their fighters are basically face down at this point. So now we go to HQ support. The Germans are going to use von Bock. He is right here for HQ support. He's a 3. That'll give him a +1. And I think the French will use Georges. He's adjacent to the attack, so he can be used. That will counter von Bock. So we're going to have a 3-to-1. The Germans are going to choose the Blitzkrieg table because they have a bunch of armored units compared to the French just anti-tank unit. So 3-to-1 with a +1. Wow. Germany just rolled a 10. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, that's bad. Well, it's bad for the French. 3-to-1, Blitzkrieg table. Let's see, I'll show you that. 3-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. That's air combat. It's looking at 10, which is an 11, because there's a flipped over unit in the hex. Star 2B, which is a breakthrough. Okay. I think some people in Paris are starting to pray for rain. He's got to rebase, and I think he's going to rebase because he's going to be flipped over. We don't want to get him overrun. We'll put him in. I'll put him in Paris. So one of these units is going to survive and be shattered, and I think the French would like to have the 5-3 shattered. Even though the anti-tank unit is more expensive to rebuild. I think it's a 4. That's the same. It's a 3. It takes 3 turns to come back on. You know, the French are feeling like they need as many units as they can get on the board right now. The Germans, I'm going to break and figure out what the Germans... They will be able to blitz from here because this hex only costs 1 point. And you can blitz through force. It's like the Ardennes offensive. Alright, so I'll break, figure out, because I got to pull off all those air units and figure out what the Germans want to blitz with. Okay, both the French and the Commonwealth took land actions. It didn't cost them any oil. The line actually looks okay. It's not the best, but it looks okay. And what we did is we retreated from Strasbourg back to here. Moved a unit there, moved a unit up here, moved a unit down here, and the British took over another hex. The British and the French can stack together. They have a level 3 treaty between the two of them, so they can cooperate. So, yeah, it's a little thin in places, but I guess it's probably the best the French can do at this point. Don't really see anything else they can do, so... I think they're good. We'll move the impulse marker up to the communists. They are not doing anything right now. They're holding pat. The communist Chinese are holding pat. The Chinese are good where they are because it's rain where they're most threatened, so they don't have to worry about that too much. And we're back to the fascists. So I will break here again and try to figure out what the Germans are going to do. I think they're going to reorganize this HQ with offensive points. They still have enough. They have 9. It's going to cost 2 plus his reorg value, which is 3. It's going to cost 5 to reorganize him, so they're probably going to do that. And then I'll move some units around and see what we're going to see. Okay, Japan is not moving anything, I don't think. Well, they have one rail move they want to do. I'll do that after this. That's all they want to do over there. Rain in the north monsoon basically shuts that down. Okay, so the Germans, after their land movement, managed to scrape together a 6-to-1 attack on this hex. There was a whole bunch of options they looked at. They looked at attacking this hex, this hex, this hex. But the best option they could come up with is this one right here, 6-to-1. Because the headquarters that's underneath is flipped over. He's upside down. So there's 9 points in the hex. It is within range of combat air support from the British, and I think they will throw in their 1 point here. Now it's going to make it a 5-to-1. Now HQ support, the Germans will use HQ support. They will use Runestadt, who's a 4. Now the French could use Predilat, who's a 2. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to sway the combat, to sway the Germans from getting an additional +1. So they're not going to use Predilat. So I will flip over Runestadt when I get to them. And the 6-1 now is a 5-1 +2. So let's roll a die and see what happens. 5-1 +2. A 4. Not a tremendously heinous result on the Blitzkrieg table. A 4 on the 5-1 +2 is a 6. Okay, so that's not too bad for the French. It's bad enough, but 6 is a 1, a star 1B, which no Germans flip over. 1 French unit is destroyed and 1 is shattered. And the air unit will go home and flip over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he's going to go all the way back to London. Just cause. Okay, so let's see. Shatter the infantry unit or shatter the headquarters? I think we'll shatter the headquarters. Excuse me. And the infantry unit dies. These Germans successfully take the hex. I got to figure out who's going to go in there. The Germans no longer have enough points to reorganize Runestadt, so probably not going to be him. So, oh jeez. The bigger stacks get, the more likely they are to fall over. Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah. I'll figure it out. Okay, so that's going to do it for the fascist impulse, and we will go back to the Democrats. I got to do that rail move, and there's some air rebasing for the Germans. I'll show the air rebase right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now the Germans have a bomber and a fighter, courtesy of Finland, of all places. Okay, so I'll do the rail movement, I'll come back, and we'll start the Democrat impulse. Alright, we're back to the weather roll for the Democrats. Pray for rain, pray for rain, pray for rain, pray for rain. A 2. The white die, the Democrats roll a 2. And the 2 don't do it. I believe the 2 is, back to fair weather everywhere. Oh boy, that's not good. Okay. So I don't think the Chinese are good right where they are. I don't think they really want to do anything at this point. So that leaves me to, let's see. I think we will be doing a land impulse with both the Commonwealth and the French. And I will break right here and come back with the results of the land movement. Okay, the French managed to keep putting together a line. Even though they keep suffering losses, they're actually pretty resilient, I would say, at this point. I've retreated some units in here and just kind of filled in best they could down through here. I don't know how this is going to work out because one good breakthrough somewheres and the French are in trouble. But I think, and the Germans now have air support thanks to Finland. Just lovely. I think that that's it for the Democrats. Communists aren't doing anything. And now we're back to the fascists. So I will break here, and we'll take a look at seeing what Germany can do. Obviously, they're going to do another full land impulse, suck up another oil, see what they can put together for this, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, well, now that the weather has cleared in Asia, the Japanese may actually have an attack. First thing they're going to do is try a ground strike. 2, 4, 6. No, they're not. It's out of range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 10 points. It's got 14. Okay. All right, so we got 2 1s. And, well, it's still 2 1s because even though it's force tax is halved. 1 is 0.5, rounds to back to a 1. So we got 2 dice. The white will be the top unit and the red will be the bottom unit. And we did get a 1 and a 3. So the bottom unit is flipped over. The air unit will fly back, and this time I think we're going to land here. So the bottom unit is flip it over. And going to use Japanese are going to use HQ support. The Chinese again not going to use Chang because it's not going to make a difference. 3 minus 1 is 2 divided by 4 is 0.5, rounds up to a +1. So they have a 4-to-1 attack. Some armor for the Japanese would be good. They could actually use the Blitzkrieg table, but armor is not a thing the Japanese bother with too much because it costs a lot of oil. Okay, so we have a 4-to-1. It's on the assault table, and we have a +2. So a 1 would probably be bad for Japan. Let's see if they can choke. They choke a lot. Oh, 6 is not choking. 4-to-1, 6, which is a 7, 8, which is an 8. And 8 is a asterisk on the assault table, and 8. 4-to-1 is asterisk 2B. All right? Oh, I'm sorry. It's cross 2S. So 2 Chinese units die, the rest are shattered, half the Japanese units are flipped over. Japan will take that. Yes, indeed. They will definitely take that. So these 2 units are eliminated. There goes another Chinese resource. Half the units are flipped over, and it actually counts. The HQ is actually counted as one of them. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So the HQ, the 8-3 is going to go here. We'll flip the artillery. Not too worried about getting counterattacked. There's a lake there. They got 1 hex. Is 5, 6, 7. They have attack weakness. They have a flipped over unit there. Yeah, not worried about it. And I think this unit will also go here. And does the forest cost 2 or 3 on this map? Forest costs 3 on the Pacific map. Wow. So maybe this unit won't go there, and he will stay here. And we'll just occupy with that unit. All right, let's go back to Europe. That kind of makes another mess for the Chinese to fix. Okay, over here in Europe, I did all the land movement for the Germans. The Italians are doing nothing. Actually, I think they're going to transport another unit. They're actually building up in Africa. So they're going to load up whatever this is. They don't have anything to load up. Bummer. Alright, so they will do a small land move. And that's it for the Italians. And actually, he'll move this too. And they can move a motorized. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's it for the Italians. Alright, back to the Germans. Well, we have a potential 5-to-1 attack we have the German air support, courtesy of Finland. 2 Finnish air units. The British will intercept. They have 1 fighter capable of intercepting. So we're going to have another air combat. This is going to be Finland against the Commonwealth. We got, we're on the 00000. I have to go get my chart. Now where's my dice? Okay, yeah. So the Commonwealth is intercepting. They roll first on the 000. 0. That's 4 to 4 is 0. So, and they roll an 11. Now, on the air combat chart, 11 is the absolute worst possible roll you can make. Any odds, it doesn't matter. On 0, 11 is defender clears through 1 bomber. So the bomber gets through. It will indeed be a 5 to 1 on the Blitzkrieg table. The Finnish get to shoot back. Well, this could add insult to injury. And a 6. That's probably not going to do anything. Attacker abort. Okay. So the attacker aborts. He's going to go someplace. He's going to abort. He can go 3. And he's going to be upside down. And he's going to add his 2 points. That's going to give me a 5 to 1. And he'll have to go fly somewheres and happily land along with their fighter. I think their fighter will land here. We actually have 2 attacks for the Germans. Okay, now we got a 5 to 1 on the Blitzkrieg table. And is that a plus? Anything? We're going to use Pritalat. Should we? Should we use Pritalat? That's going to turn him over. All right, time to look at the table for the French. See how bad it's going to be. Well, 5 to 1 plus 1, or a 5 to 1 even. It really doesn't look good either way. But the Germans have to choose first, and they will add HQ benefits. So, 1 Bach gets flipped over. And 5 to 1 plus 1, or 5 to 1 straight up. I think the French are going to take a chance. They're not going to use Pritalat. They don't have anybody else, do they? Who's here? Oh, we have Billouet. No, we're not even going to use him. I think we got to keep units mobile at this point. If we're going to keep Paris and try to make it through this turn, we need to keep units mobile. Okay, so 5 to 1, and the Germans have a plus 1. And this is on the Blitzkrieg table. Let's see. That's going to be, it's a die roll of a 3. It's not the greatest die roll on the 5 to 1 chart. 5 to 1, I'll show you. Plus 1. This is actually where the French made a bad decision. Now, not that you can ever actually tell, but 5 to 1, a 4 would have flipped over half the German units. But instead, they had a plus 1, and it gives them a 5. No units are flipped over, and it's a breakthrough. So, what the breakthrough does, I have to look that up. I think the French have to retreat. I'm not sure. Or they might be shattered. I gotta check that. Yes, all defending units are shattered, so they will be going on to the production table, production chart, to arrive as reinforcements next turn. But the Germans do get a breakthrough. They got a breakthrough here. That means they're running out of units to use, though. So this is, I think they'll put the 9-4 there. I think these guys are going to break through. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, and the Germans have a second attack here. Now this fortress is compromised. He's 3 points, so he's got, that's quartered from this side. So you got 9, you got 1 there, or 2, 3, 9. 9 and 4 is 13, 23, 23, 31, 34, 41 to 3. It's a 10 to 1, so it's an auto kill. And the air unit is dead as well. And the Germans will occupy Metz. Alright, things are not looking good in France. And that's the end of the fascist impulse. We go back to the Democrats, where they will roll weather. Let's check out the weather roll, see what happens. Okay, the weather die roll almost went off the edge of the table. There it is, a 2. And 2, I think, is fair weather everywhere. Bad news for the Democrats. All right, I got to try to salvage this mess for the French. I'll come back and see what we see. Okay, let's take a quick look at China. You can see the Chinese managed to patch together another line. Doesn't look too spiffy, but it's a line. So there you go. I don't really see the Japanese being able to do too much at this point, simply because they have a number of units flipped over and they're kind of stretched right now. They need to build some land units, but they haven't had that ability yet. Okay, let's go over and take a look at Europe. Okay, well, there you go. You can see the French line. Doesn't look that great. There's a hole they could not plug right here. I don't know what the Germans are going to do about it, but the French line is ultra thin. Basically fell back along here, and they basically abandoned the Maginot line. That's about it. So we'll move on to the communists. The communists are going to take a pass and see if they can end the impulse. Oh, 6 doesn't do it. Sorry, communists. They still would have needed to roll a 1 or a 2. Alright, so now we move on to the fascists. And again, I will take a break. I'll break here. This aircraft is going to get overrun, unfortunately, but the French got to try to maintain a line. They can't just, throw everything and try to save a face-down aircraft. So I'll break here, and I'll come back with the fascist impulse and see how things go. Okay, I finished up the German land movement. Looked at Japan. They basically got nothing going on. They have so many units flipped over now they really can't do much of anything. Alright, well, Germany was considering moving into this hex, but decided that they would rather clear out other hexes than move here. This would weaken them significantly, and it really doesn't gain anything other than breaching this river line right here. But that's really not that important. The important thing is to get around, get as many hexes as possible on Paris. So she's got 2 attacks. She's got a 6 to 1 here and a 5 to 1 here. And I think think she's going to use HQ benefits here. There's no air support anywheres on either side. So she's going to use HQ benefits. That's going to give her a 6-to-1 plus 1. Unless the French use theirs. Now, they have HQ right here. Somewheres. Right here. They have Predilet. I think he'll do, I think they will. I think they're just going to go and they're going to hope and pray the turn ends before much longer. Otherwise, things are going to rapidly disintegrate. So it's going to be a 6-to-1. This is going to be on the Blitzkrieg table. And it's going to be straight up. Well, let's see what the Germans get for a die roll. Can't beat that. Can't get any better than that. That's a 10. That's star 2S. So these guys are dead. The British unit is dead. Won't even generate a cadre because he's not next to his own HQ and he is outside of his home country. So let's see. I think the HQ is going to occupy you, even though it's turned face down. I believe it doesn't turn face down until the end of the turn. Or does it? I'll leave it there. I'm not quite sure. So it's going to be a breakthrough. So we're going to move the motorized. I think there's some armor here. Yes, there is. As you can see, the German line is... Oh, let me show you what I just did. So the Germans moved up into this hex here. And a little bit of 9 points there. There's the HQ. There's actually 2 HQs flipped over in that hex. And you can see the Germans are actually getting a little thin down here too. So they have one more attack. They have a 5-to-1 here. Again, there's no air support anywhere in sight. However, the French do have a headquarters. Do they use it or not? They use it or not? It'll give them a -1. 5-to-1 -1. And this is also going to be on the Blitzkrieg table. 5-to-1 -1. Yeah, I think the French are going to try it and see what happens. So we're going to have a 5-to-1 -1 attack. Let's go up here and grab the die. 5-to-1 -1. A 3. Oh, that might have actually worked out in favor of the French. A 3, a 5-to-1 -1 is going to be a 2. Which is, the Germans are going to take a loss. A 2 is a 1 and a retreat for the French. So the French didn't lose anything. They get to retreat, and the Germans have to take a loss. There's no headquarters around, so it's going to be a straight up loss for the Germans. That's not good, but can't have everything. I'm going to retreat that unit there and that one there. Don't know as I want to occupy the hex. Maybe with that. Alright. That's about it for the Germans. Paris is looking pretty insecure at this point. Let's see. The last thing the Germans got to do, get any air rebasing. There isn't any air left. So obviously there's not going to be any air rebasing. Okay. Alright, so last thing we do is we roll to see if the turn ends. We are rolling for a 1. Rolling for a 1. 4 doesn't do it. So we move on to the Democrats. Now the end turn is a 2, roll weather. A 3, that's not good weather for the French, unfortunately. Paris might actually fall. Let's see, 3. September, October. 3 is fair weather everywhere. Impulse marker moves up 1. The weather has been really cooperative to the Axis in this, the fascists, especially the Germans in this particular turn. Haven't had any bad weather at all. And now that does happen. That does happen sometimes. Alright, so I gotta try to figure out how to save the French bacon here. And yeah, so I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, it's pretty bad. The Commonwealth took a combined. They had a transport available, and the Commonwealth, which sailed out to the North Sea and embarked Gort. Could be the Commonwealth has decided, well, that's enough of that. But anyway, the French moved some units down this way. They sort of got a line down here in the south, but they're still wide open in this area. They do have zones of control here and here, so that will help them a little bit. The British here are kind of stuck. They basically retreated from this direction, so that's basically what it's looking like. Can't really do anything else, I guess. Well, we'll roll to end. Roll to see if we end the turn. That's it. It's the only thing that's going to save France at this point. Give me a die. The die roll. Oh, we forgot to roll. Yeah, we already rolled weather. Yeah, okay. I did roll weather. Alright, so the die roll is a 2. And we'll end the turn. 4 does not end the turn. We will move on to the communists. The communists are doing nothing, so they will roll a die to end the turn. Turn might end. It will actually save the French. If the turn ends, the French will actually be saved. 10 does not end the turn. It was close. Now we move on to the fascists. Alright, I'm going to break right here, and I got to figure out if they can actually get an attack in on Paris and end France in 1939. So I'll come back with, I think the one thing that I will tell you that they're going to do, they're going to revitalize Liebe. It's going to cost them 4 offensive points. It's 2 plus whatever the reorganization value of the HQ is, and that's a 2. So it will cost them 4, and they're going to do that. Then I'll get to moving, and we'll see what basically happens here. Japan is not doing anything this turn. Don't even think they have anything to rail or rebase anything. I think they're all set. Okay, break here. Be back in a second. Okay, Germany has got a 55-12 possible attack, but I think before they do the attack, they're going to use this artillery unit to bombard the hex. It still leaves them with 51 points. There's 12 there, so it's still going to be 4-1. So there's 2 units here that are face up, and it's 2. The artillery is a 4-2, so that's going to give them 2 dice rolls at 4s. 2 dice rolls at 4s. So the top unit will be the green die, and the one's already flipped over. So the bottom unit will be the red die. Now, that is neither. So the artillery unit is flipped. They're going to use Von Liebe for HQ support. Okay, so that's going to give them a +1. There's a +1 for the flipped unit here, and there's a -1 for the factory hex. So that's a total of +1. So it's 4-1 on the assault table, +1. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, here we are, 4-1. Where's my die? Oh. Let's see what happens. Big test for France. That's not good. 4-1 +1 on the assault table, and that's an 8. So the 8 looks something like this. Cross, oh, it's a +1, so it's a 9. So it's star 2S. That basically is going to eliminate all the French units in there. And Germany will be taking Paris in September, October 1939. Who would have ever figured that out? I don't think that's going to matter. All these aircraft are going to get overrun because they're going to occupy the hex. Let's go in with the 9-4 and with the 7-3 and put the 2-4 in there. That's that. All right, I think Germany's satisfied with that. And the last thing Germany has to do is roll to see if they end the turn, which they would be okay with at this point. And the roll is a 2. 9 does not end the turn. We will move on to the Democrats, who will now roll weather. The weather roll is a 6. I think that's okay weather. 6. Yeah, rain, fair, rain, fair. Oh, now the impulse marker moves up too. So the Democrats finally got a little bit of weather going on, but unfortunately, I think it's a little bit too late. So the democracies. So the Commonwealth, I think, will take a land option, and so won't the French. I think they're going to retreat back to here. Don't know what really can do at this point. Obviously, a counterattack is just futile. Stand in place. Yeah, I guess stand in place. The Chinese are all set with what they're doing. So we will just roll to see if we end the turn. The Commonwealth will debark land units in London. They're good with that. Now we'll just roll to see if we end the turn. This is going to be on a 3. 3 or less. Nope. Moves up 2. We'll go to the Communists. Roll to end the turn. Communists just ended the turn. The Fascists got denied an extra impulse. So that will move their marker up, and the same thing that happened to them last turn. Their marker moves up, the Communist marker moves down. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. I got a lot of bookwork to do on this because I got to calculate the production for the various major powers. I got to decide if the French actually want to produce anything, because they're obviously going to be. They probably will, because the Germans could actually just move and try to conquer all of France. So I'll stop here. I got to roll for partisans. Let's get the partisan roll in. And we got U.S. entry to roll for. So partisans. Partisans is a 2. Let's see, what's a 2? 2. China. So China can potentially have a partisan. I'll have to go calculate that. Let's do the U.S. entry. Let's see, Germany and Japan. So the German roll, which is the red die, is a 2. And the Japanese roll, which is the green die, is a 6. So let's see. Go over here, look at the U.S. entry chart. Japan gets a -1 for the JA6. 6 minus 1 is 5. That's a 0. Germany gets a 2. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. For each other MP at war with a Democrat. So the Japanese now are unmodified die. They're straight up 6. They get a +1. And the Germans rolled a 2. They get a -1. So that's going to be +1, -1. And you see when Italy finally goes to war, now they're both going to have +2s. So yeah, U.S. entry actually is going to accelerate starting this turn. Okay, alright, I'm going to stop here. I got to calculate production and all that stuff. And I got to see if there's going to be a Chinese partisan. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, production looks something like this. We got Germany producing 19, started with 9. 2 militia, light cruiser, I think that's a light cruiser. Yes. Sub and a twin-engine bomber. Japan produced 11, started with 6, spent 9. Pilot, convoy point, combat air group, militia, and a special naval landing division. Italy produced 8, started with 8, spent 11. Pulled the Roma out of the construction pool, built the pilot, got a light cruiser, and building a headquarters. USSR produced 7, started with 5, spent 4. Fighter and a garrison division. Commonwealth produced 12, started with 4, spent 6. A militia. 2 militia, and pulled the Formidable out of the construction pool. France produced 6. Amazingly enough, they managed to produce 6. Actually, I think they produced 3. That's how many production points they had, was 6. So, let's see what they're at. Yes, they produced 3. So they started with -8, and they bought nothing. Because I think they're going to be gone after this, so it's really not relevant. USA produced 9, started with 8, spent 11. Pulled the New York out of the repair pool, 3 convoy points, 2 combat air groups, a transport, a carrier, and a couple of heavy cruisers. China produced 6, started with 6, and spent 6. 2 infantry armies. So I will get these units. Oh, by the way, the Germans actually saved 4 oil. Some other major powers saved an oil here or there. But the Germans saved 4. So I just wanted to note that real quick. So I'll get these on the production wheel, and I will pack this turn up, and I'll upload it next day or so. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I appreciate it. See you next time.